Hello there everybody, welcome back to another episode of Try New Things, where today I've got some stuff laying around the shop. I got a pile of these laying around, and I got a pile of 100-year-old barn boards laying around. So my plan is to use the materials I've got laying around the barn and start another new build project. So stay tuned. Today we're going to make bourbon barrel stave baskets. Now, I'm not exactly certain how this is going to go, but I know it's going to go messy. So I've set up outside, and what we got to do first is remove some of that char off the inside of each of the staves. So for that, the first thing I'm going to try is grinder. So on my grinder, I've attached this little fiber wheel here I picked up on Amazon, and I'm hoping that's going to work. And I'll use this little bench to hold my piece, and we'll do the first one. I've got three different, what would you call that, stiffnesses of brush. I've got one that's less stiff, one that's more stiff, and this one. So I thought I would start with the one in the middle and see if it works. One thing I do know is, if you're going to try this at home, don't wear your favorite clothes. Now my goal isn't to remove all the color, but at least get some of this loose ash or char off the inside of each one of these staves. So here we go, give it a shot. Well, this is actually going to be a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. Alright, we've made it through the entire stack of bourbon barrel staves and cleaned off all the loose char. Now I'm glad I did this outside. Not sure if this is going to show up, but a little trail of dark patch here. That is the char and not moisture. Also, you can see where my glove stopped on my sleeve, and not sure if this is going to come through on the camera, but my shorts are absolutely a mess. But anyway, on to the next step. And so the next step for me is to put a coat of this matte clear on the char side of each of these staves. That'll lock in the color and keep the work area and my hands clean going forward. So we got all the clear coat done on all the staves, and I should have enough to make 6 baskets, and then these larger ones, I've got something else planned for those. Now this little abomination, and insult to real craftsmen everywhere, will hopefully be a sort of jig when I'm done with it, kind of a saddle jig, to cut the ends off of each of the staves. And to make it, I sacrificed a pallet and made a mess. But yet to be seen whether this is actually going to turn into something I can use or not. We'll see, but for now, it's drying up. Well, for better for worse, here's the jig setup that I made with those pallet boards. It's essentially a saddle that the stave sits in, and I've got a center mark on the back. As long as I line up the centers, I hopefully will be cutting off the same amount off both ends. I do have the blade up awful high, so that's a little scary, but we're going to give it a try anyway. Alright everybody, it's time for a progress update. After a couple hours of sanding, all the staves are now sanded. Pulled out a couple damaged ones. But the task now is to figure out how are we going to actually turn these into baskets. So my very first step was to pick out 6 staves, 3 for each side of the basket, that were very close to the same overall width when I put them together. So that's my starting point. Now to design the ends. So I'm just messing around with a piece of MDF. I think this is going to be my end of basket shape, at least to start with. See how that works out and make some adjustments. Obviously not going to make the baskets out of MDF, but it makes a great template material. Now when the time comes to put this basket together, I am going to screw the staves onto the ends, but just using some tape to put together the final shape, because there is a curve to it. I want to see how it's going to fit against my template end. So after trying it out with the barrel staves taped together, my template is ending up to be a little bit more apple shaped. But that's pretty cool. I'm ready to make some ends and then we'll make some bottoms. Here's what I'm thinking. I've got this old barn board, live edge barn board, about 100 years old. My intention is to use it to make my basket ends. So let's cut it up, see how it turns out. Well, it's coming along pretty well. There's my template on the left and the two finished ends, first two finished ends, all cut out and sanded. Now at this stage we got to figure out what we're going to do for a bottom and start getting ready to put the staves on the sides. So everything about these baskets is being tricky. So you can see the shape, hopefully it's going to work, at the bottom of the basket. And it gets wider in the center, narrower two ends, and that's because of the curve of the sides of the staves that are curving in two directions. So we'll put this together and see how close we are to what should be our template going forward. Well, we've got ourselves a pretty chilly start to this morning, but last night, before we left, what we did is we stained enough bits and pieces, hopefully, to put together 2 baskets. So my goal for today is get at least one of those done. Show you how it turns out. So here are the bits and pieces. You can see the components for 2 baskets. I think it's going to be tricky to put together, but we're going to give it a shot. All right, first stave with all these freaky angles. Make everything fit flush. It's a bit of a challenge. I'm going to do this a lot. I think we're going to have to build a jig. There's one side done. So here we go. We've managed to get 2 baskets completed today. And I've got all the parts for 2 more. I just got to screw them together and I'll have 4 baskets. So brought it down here on the coffee table for some scale, put some candles in it. But since you've seen it last, we've added the rope handles. And if I look inside on the bottom, see that nice black char color remains on the inside. And put my own TNT logo right there embedded in the bottom. Yeah, so I think they turned out well. It took me a while. I'm averaging about 3 hours a basket now, but if I make these to scale, I think I can probably get down to about an hour and a half per basket. So hopefully you've enjoyed this episode of Try New Things. Got any questions or comments, let me know. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.